A man like you doesn't carry $2 million. Don't make me laugh." She said it to his face while tearing the check apart. As everyone watched, she threw the pieces at him like trash. But the man didn't move. He looked down at the torn remains of years of hard work, raised his head. "You couldn't have made a bigger mistake," he said, quietly. "Get out!" the woman shouted at security. "Police are on the way!" The man didn't take a single step. He tucked a piece of paper into his palm. "I'll wait," he said. "Call your boss, too." The woman burst out laughing. But one person in that lobby wasn't laughing. Carlos Santana. He saw everything, and he stood up. In 5 minutes, that woman's jaw would drop. Her boss would walk through that door and button his jacket in front of the man whose check she just ripped apart. Have you ever watched someone destroy their own reputation with a single sentence? James walked around the truck and ran his hand along the Labrador's spine. One slow wag. "Won't be long, buddy." The dog had heard that before. Chin on paws, eyes closed. Waiting was something they both understood. The F-150 was 25 years old. A quarter century of lumber, drywall, and mortar had carved its story into every surface. Scratches, rust, a cracked mirror nobody bothered to fix. But the engine fired on the first turn, every time. When he parked, a black Rolls-Royce sat 2 spots over, catching the afternoon light. James didn't notice. He was looking at the folder in his hands. 65 years old. The jacket had been good once. He'd had the cuffs restitched twice. His shoes had cracked where they bent. But he'd polished them that morning because that's what you do when you walk into a place of business. Gold band on his left hand. He'd never considered removing it. You don't think about something that's become part of your hand. The passenger seat was empty. He didn't notice anymore how long it had been. A leather folder sat where Karen used to sit. Inside it was a check for $2 million. And every Saturday morning they'd spent on their knees sanding floors together. At 26, James bought a house everyone said was beyond saving. He and Karen paid off the mortgage together, penny by penny. He brought it back to life with his own hands and sold it for double. Then the next one. That's how the Henderson Property Group was born, over 35 years. One wreck at a time. One belief that never changed. What's broken doesn't get thrown away. It gets fixed. By retirement, hundreds of restored properties stood behind him. The $2 million was for a scholarship fund in Karen's name, for kids from neighborhoods like hers. He chose this branch because Karen had opened their first account here. He walked in 10 minutes before closing. Cold inside. The AC running full blast. The air flat with floor polish and stale paper cup coffee. The Magnolia Avenue branch sat on the best corner of the neighborhood. Customers wore linen and carried leather bags. James was the kind of man who pulled up in a scratched pickup and nobody looked at twice. But someone else in the lobby hadn't been looked at twice either. Mustard yellow linen shirt, bracelets on his wrists, flat black hat. Carlos Santana. The foundation file in front of him was closed. His eyes were already on the lobby. Outside, the rusty F-150 and the black Rolls-Royce sat side by side. Nobody made the connection, but those two strangers were waiting in the same room for the same thing, to be seen. The manager's desk commanded the center. Jennifer sat behind it. Late 30s, hair in a tight bun, blazer shoulders sharp enough to cut glass. She ran this branch by one rule. You can read what someone's worth before they open their mouth. James's jacket, shoes, and folder were scanned in a second. She wasn't interested, didn't get up. Behind the counter, Justin mirrored her every expression. 2 windows down, Olivia watched James cross the floor. 2 months at this branch. She hadn't learned the unwritten rules yet, but she recognized what was turning in her stomach. Something was about to go wrong. A man in a suit cut in front of James without looking up from his phone. Justin greeted him with a wide smile, handled his business, then turned to James. The smile didn't fall. It froze, hardened into a mask of courtesy. James recognized it. He'd been on the receiving end his whole life. He placed his hands on the counter and waited. 5 people pretending he wasn't there. The silence felt like a quiet agreement. In the corner, Carlos Santana watched. James set the folder down, both hands. He waited to be seen. No rush. He'd given up rushing a long time ago. Olivia began to rise. Before she could, heels clicked across the marble. Jennifer had left her desk. The look on her face said it all. "I'll handle this myself." James nodded. "Good afternoon. I'd like to deposit a check, please." He opened the folder. Pale green paper, numbers black and sharp. $2 million. Jennifer's eyes didn't stay on the paper. They traveled up. Worn cuffs, narrow shoulders, a calm face that didn't look away from hers. Her lip curled. "A check? Into this account?" "Yes, my account number." He recited it from memory. Jennifer typed. Something on her screen made her pause. "Where does this money come from?" "Liquidation of my 35-year real estate portfolio. Approved this morning. One phone call to verify." Jennifer smiled. That uncomfortable, looking-down-at-you banker's smile. $2 million checks don't just walk in through the door, sir. This one did. Verify it, please. Let's find out who you are first. She asked for ID. When James opened his wallet, a folded photograph peeked out from the edge. Faded colors, a young woman's smile. Jennifer didn't notice. License on the counter. She asked for a passport card. James handed it over. She held the documents to the light, turned them, examined the corners. "These aren't sufficient." "2 government-issued IDs, James said. In the corner, Carlos's hand shifted from his knee to the table's edge. His bracelets clicked against the surface. His eyes moved between Jennifer and James. Justin drifted over, arms folded. "Someone tried a similar stunt just last week." Not to Jennifer, to the lobby. Jennifer nodded. "That's right. We see this every day." Someone laughed. An older man by the ropes leaned toward his wife and murmured something. A few more smiled. The room had reached its verdict. Fraud. Caught. Case closed. A kid with Bluetooth earbuds started filming. A woman in a cream coat stopped her transaction to watch. James stood in the middle of the room, completely alone. But his isolation wasn't something he'd chosen. It was a sentence passed by the silent vote of everyone present. Carlos set his coffee down. He'd shifted forward in his chair. "I'm placing your account under review," Jennifer said, hitting the keys hard. "All funds frozen until we determine the source. That account holds 30 years of savings." Steel moved beneath James's voice for the first time. "You're making a serious mistake." "Are you threatening me?" Her voice rose. She was playing to the room. "I gave you information. What you make of it is on you." Carlos had closed his folder, hands on his knees, still sitting, but his posture had changed. He was about to stand. Jennifer held the check in the air, pinched between 2 fingers like something pulled from a drain. "This goes to security. Kevin, get over here!" The guard straightened and approached. James didn't turn. Olivia stood. "Jennifer, we can call the issuing bank. One phone—" "Sit down, Olivia." The voice cracked like a whip. "One more word and it's your last day." Olivia sat, hands shaking. She looked at James. Her lips said, "I'm sorry," without sound. James answered with his eyes, "Not your fault." Jennifer held the check up for the lobby. "This check is fake. I've been doing this for years, and I'm telling you, it's fake." She tore it. Once, twice, flung the pieces at his chest. Paper fluttered from his collar and settled on the marble. Pale green confetti around cracked but polished shoes. James didn't change his breathing. He looked at the pieces, then at her. No anger. Something heavier. The worn-out calm of a man who'd been collecting moments like this his entire life. And Carlos Santana stood up. His steps echoed across the marble, slow and deliberate. Everyone turned, but the man meant nothing to them. To Jennifer, he was another problem. "Sit down. This doesn't concern you." He didn't stop, walked right up to the counter. "The man told you there's a reference number on the back of that check," he said, low voice, but every word carried. "One call, and it would have been clear in 30 seconds. Why didn't you call?" "Who are you?" "A customer who walked in and waited his turn. A customer who just watched you tear up a man's check." Jennifer pulled out her cell phone. 3 digits. Magnolia Branch. 2 people refusing to leave. 1 is threatening. I don't feel safe. James stood 4 meters away, hands open. Carlos beside him, same posture. Everyone could see there was no threat. But Jennifer's voice told a different story. Kevin, fingers snapped. Now. Kevin stepped forward, hesitated on the second step. The man in the mustard shirt had moved between him and James, not to fight, just there. But the way he stood was different from everyone else. Don't do this, the man said, to Kevin alone. You'll remember today for a long time. Don't remember it with shame. Kevin's hand dropped. He stepped back. Jennifer flushed. Kevin, I gave you an order. Stop. Olivia, on her feet, no trembling this time. Phone receiver in hand. I'm calling the issuing bank, right now. She didn't look at Jennifer. Started dialing, and the glass door opened. Early 60s, gray suit, silver temples, briefcase. David, Eastern Division Deputy President. 40 minutes behind the wheel to make it before closing. 1 step in and he read the room. Security guard's position, manager on the phone, 2 men standing. Then he saw one of their faces. The briefcase slipped from his fingers and hit the marble with a thud. Mr. Henderson? The name hung in the air. The real shock came when David turned his head. His mouth stayed open. Mr. Santana? Nobody breathed. The kid kept filming. The woman in cream crushed her brochure. Justin's face turned to stone. Jennifer still had the phone to her ear, still smiling. David, perfect timing. We stopped a fraudulent check. David walked to James and buttoned his jacket. Sir, I'm truly sorry. Then to Carlos. Mr. Santana, seeing you here like this, I'll make this right. Jennifer's smile drained away. When David turned to her, no warmth remained. Do you know who's standing in front of you? Controlled voice, the most dangerous kind of anger. James Henderson, founder of Henderson Property Group. 35 years restoring hundreds of properties. His portfolio at this bank, $23 million, $60 million in new investments on the table. One of this bank's biggest individual clients. He let it settle. And the check you tore up was $2 million for the Karen Henderson Scholarship Fund. University scholarships for young people from low-income families, managed from this branch. Jennifer's face went gray. Heavy, ugly gray. I didn't know. How could I? The way he's dressed. She stopped, but the sentence was already in the air. Dressed how? James said. Barely a whisper, but the whole lobby heard. Finish it. She couldn't. A dozen phones on her. The VP watching, her own staff staring. Some words can only be spoken when you haven't truly seen the person in front of you. Once you're face to face, you don't have the nerve. David stepped closer. Say it again. What you said to him. To his face. Same words. Silence. Carlos stood half a step behind James, watching Jennifer's face. In it, he saw a woman feeling the weight of her own words for the first time. You're done, Jennifer. Flat. Final. Badge and keys, don't touch your computer or phone. Everything at your desk is part of an investigation now. She'd sat behind that desk for 10 years. 10 minutes ago, this lobby was her kingdom. Now it had fallen. Justin stepped forward, white as paper. I didn't do anything. I was just at my window. Just at your window? Olivia, 2 windows down, shaking but not breaking. It's all on camera, Justin. Your smile, your nod, that sentence you started with, people like these? David looked at the pieces on the floor, then at Jennifer. Pick them up. She didn't move. Every piece. Now. Jennifer knelt. On the marble in front of everyone, she started picking up the pieces she'd thrown 10 minutes ago. Fingers trembling. First piece. Reached for the second. Get up. James. Calm. Leave them. It's fine. She froze. Half bent. Hand in the air. The man whose check she'd torn was showing her mercy. That hit harder than getting fired. Carlos stepped forward, bent down and gathered the remaining pieces. When he straightened, he looked at David. You know what? He said. When this man walked through your door, all it would have taken was a good afternoon, a smile, 1 second of eye contact. For people our age, even that's too much to ask now. The lobby was silent. Carlos held the torn pieces in his open palm. You looked at his clothes, his shoes. You didn't look him in the eye, not once. James nodded. Olivia brought 2 paper cups of water. James and Carlos sat in the corner of the lobby, the same corner Carlos had occupied alone for hours. 2 men, 2 cups, a silence that didn't need filling. Outside, the October sun warmed the Labrador's back in the truck bed. 3 months later, 2 vehicles parked side by side at the same branch, rusty pickup and black Rolls-Royce. This time, they walked in together. Olivia met them at the door. She ran the training program now. First lesson she taught: don't weigh someone by what they're wearing. Ask what they need. Do your job. Welcome, she said. Simple. But 3 months ago, nobody had bothered. Kevin was at the door. He caught James's eye and gave a nod, the kind that carries something heavier than regret. A plaque on the wall, Karen Henderson Scholarship Fund. James stopped, traced his finger over Karen's name. Next to it, a new sign, customer rights in plain language, complaint hotline number. He'd closed bigger deals. None made him this proud. Carlos was beside him. Together they deposited a new check. The fund had grown. Carlos was part of it now. James tucked the folder under his arm and walked out. Carlos beside him. The Labrador lifted his head and wagged his tail. Not for 1 this time, for 2. The kid's video had gone viral. James never watched it. He didn't need to. The bank reformed. David's terms. Every branch, every customer, every procedure. Jennifer's file revealed a pattern stretching back years. Denied accounts, flagged customers, same profile, not one bad afternoon. Years of habit dressed up as policy. Whitmore Federal shares dropped 3% the next day. The board called an emergency meeting. James could have brought the bank to its knees. He didn't. He set his terms, real oversight, real training, an independent hotline for customers turned away without cause. Rules alone don't fix people. James went to see Karen that evening. He wasn't alone this time. His new friend Carlos Santana was with him. I'm asking honestly, if you'd been in that lobby, would you have stayed quiet, or would you have been the one to stand up? Tell me in the comments. And if this story stirred something inside you, send it to someone who needs to see it. Don't forget to subscribe.